Alright, section 8, quadratic formula, here we go. If this works. Doesn't work. Alright, so step 1, make it equal to 0 or you can't find A, B, and C. Step 2, memorize this formula. Negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Identify A, B, and C, put it in the formula. So let's use it. Example 1. There you go. Now, if we use quadratic formula, which might be easier in this case for us, let's do it. Negative b, so negative 7, plus or minus square root b squared, so 7 square, I'll write it out, minus 4 times a, which is 2, times c. Oops, c is 11, negative 11. Put them in there. All over 2 times a, which is 2. All I did was substitute in the quadratic formula. That's all I did. Just remember all the letters. Negative b, b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Now simplify. Here's what I do to simplify. I only type in this part in my calculator. I type in 7 squared minus 4 times 2 times negative 11. That's what I type in. I don't type in the square root in there. I just type in 7 squared, 4 times 2, negative 11, and get a number underneath here. What's that number? Hello?
Oh, 137.
137. All over 2 times 2, 4. Look at that answer. Look at the one you got. Could you split this up? Yeah, you can split that up. Okay, same thing as over here.
Wow.
So, realize you can use 2 different methods. I just wanted to give you some practice. That's all.
Can we use that for completing
If I say show work on the test, show me completing the square. That's not going to work out for you. But
we can check answers.
yes, that's what I would do. I would check your answer quick with this. All right, there you go. Always look to see if things like this simplify or fractions simplify. I get so many people that don't even think about that. All right. Why use quadratic formula? Because it allows us to do any quadratic equation, even if we can't factor. Now here's the second piece of information. Number 1 important piece, know how to use the formula. Number 2 important piece is this. B squared minus 4ac. Write that down. Star it. Whatever you got to do. This is called something. How many people know what this is called?
Oh yeah, determinant.
That's what people mix that word up because it's so close.
Discriminant.
It's like discriminate.
Discriminant.
It's discriminant. There you go. So this thing right here is what we call the discriminant. Write that word down. Because I'm going to ask you, what is the discriminant of blank of this equation?
Discriminant.
Yeah, a lot of people say determinant because it's kind of similar, but not. So b squared minus 4ac discriminant. Where is the discriminant? Where is it?
The top part of the quadratic.
Underneath the square root. The discriminant lies underneath the square root. So that's going to tell us something. The discriminant tells us something. It tells us 2 things. Here's what you want to know. The first sentence. Discriminant tells you the number and types of answers. Basically it tells you this. It tells you how many solutions there are, and it tells you the type of solutions you're going to have. So here's a few things that you should know. Where does this lie? Where does the discriminant lie?
Root.
Underneath the root. So think about this. Let me make up a situation. 3 plus or minus square root of, the discriminant is here. So I said discriminant is 5. I'll just put a 5 here. 5 all over 2a. So we'll just say it's 2. Okay? What type of answer does this give you by itself right here? What type of answer? What type? What type of number?
Rational.
Irrational, right? Irrational because, so all I did was picture it. All I did was picture this number underneath the radical, and I thought that's an irrational number. How many answers?
2.
2. 2 irrational.
What is it like? When would you have one?
Good question. When would you have one answer? You guys try to think about that for a second. When would you have one answer?
In a real life problem.
True. Somebody said it. 0. If the discriminant was 0, right? Like this. Watch. So if I had whatever number, 3 plus or minus square root of, discriminant lies here. So if this number was 0 all over 2, this is 3 plus 0 divided by 2, 3 minus 0 divided by 2. How many answers you got? 1. So if the discriminant is 0, one answer. What type of answer is it? What type of answer is that?
Rational.
Rational. Rational. And real, technically. They're all real. Now, what if I got an answer discriminant of b squared minus 4ac equal to negative 2? What do you think about that?
2 no. 0. 0 real answers.
I would agree with you, but you wouldn't be giving me the whole story.
What answers?
2 answers.
Imaginative.
Imaginative.
Agreed.
If this discriminant was negative 2, which means the negative 2 would be underneath the radical. If you have a negative underneath the radical, you get what type of answers? Imaginary, right? So, here's what you want to know. This little chart. If you have a negative as a discriminant, you have 2 imaginary. I mean, that makes sense, doesn't it? If it's underneath the radical, you're going to get imaginary. If you have 0 underneath the radical, you're going to get one real solution, right? That's what we just looked at. What if you have a positive one? You get 2 answers. When do you get rational and when do you get irrational answers? Right here. If it's a perfect square, you get rational answers. If it's not a perfect square, you get irrational answers. You don't have to take an hour or 20 minutes to memorize this chart. This chart just makes sense. Like, it's just logic. If I got negative, obviously I'm going to have imaginary answers. If I got 0, I think about it in my mind, I'm going to get one answer, real. Technically rational too. Now what's an example of this one? Positive perfect square. If you got 3 plus or minus the square root of
16.
Yeah, 16, 9, whatever, all divided by 2. This would be 3 plus or minus 3 over 2. What type of answer? Rational. This one, positive non-perfect. So 3 plus or minus whatever, 17 over 2. This right here gives me irrational answers. Know this little thing right here, but once again, you don't memorize. Think about it. Think about it. Any questions on this?
Awesome.
Okay, not bad, right? Know what the discriminant is, know what it tells you. So let me give you an example. Let's see. Y equals negative 3x squared plus 5x plus 7. Tell me what the discriminant is. Tell me how many solutions and what type they are. All from the discriminant. Go. Here we go. 5 squared, b squared, minus 4, a, c. Here we go. B squared is 25 minus plus 437. What is that? 96?
84.
Oops, 84. This plus this, 109. Which tells you how many solutions?
2.
2. What type? Irrational. Is that real or not?
Not real.
Yes, real. Okay. Discriminant. 109. So 3 answers. 109, 2 answers, irrational. There you go. That's how you use a discriminant. Any questions?
Is that 3 actors?
Is that what? Kinda. I mean, 3 parts to an answer. Yeah. Give me all 3 parts.
We have to say whether it's real or not.
I would put it in there. I mean, I might not be that picky, but make sure you at least have rational or irrational answers. Make sure you can do that. Okay, where's my basketball at? So, here's what you have to know. 1, you got to know an equation for it. So write this down. You knew the old one, you should know. H equals negative 16t squared plus
H0.
this, which is all about what? When you use this?
Dropping.
Yeah, when you drop an object. Now, yeah, it is all about gravity. That's the only thing acting on it, gravity. Now the other one, if I spike it or if I do something else, if I throw it, if I shoot it, it's different. There's something else acting. There's another force. I'm launching it. So therefore, you need to know this one. H equals negative 16t squared, very similar to the old one.
Minus.
Because gravity is still acting, is it not? Still acting. Plus V little 0 T, and then the same ending. Plus,
H0.
because we still need to know our initial height. We still need to know gravity is acting here. Still need to know final height. So H is your final height. T is your time in seconds. Same thing here, time in seconds. What is V?
Velocity.
Okay, it is velocity, but we have to be more specific here. Initial velocity and even more specific, vertical velocity. So this should be initial, vertical. What does it mean by vertical?
Oh, down.
I'm throwing it up in one case. I'm hitting it down in another case. 2 scenarios are different. Same or different?
Same.
Definitely different, right? Different because, one, I'm taking less time. Like if I said, if it hits the ground here, that's less time than if I just dropped it or if I threw it down or if I threw it up. Okay? More time has passed. So, vertical velocity, it changes. This is still the same. Initial height, right here in feet. Okay, so memorize the formula. Yes, you have to know it. People ask me every time, right before the quiz, do we need to know that one formula? Yes. Okay? Yes, all the formulas you need to know. I don't give you a formula sheet, right? So here we go. Let's see what this is talking about. Juggler tosses the ball in the air. Ball leaves the juggler's hands at 4 feet. What is that? It leaves the juggler's hands at 4 feet. Leaves my hand 4 feet. That's the initial height it left my hand. Alright? There's your first one, initial height. 40 feet, so it has initial velocity of 40 feet per second. So, there's your velocity. Next, the juggler catches the ball when it falls back to a height of 3 feet. What is that? That's your final height. You started at 4, threw it to 3. So,
what's initial vertical velocity really? How would you be able to figure it out if someone was actually throwing a ball? And how would you know what's 40 feet?
you'd have to calculate it. You couldn't just guess. You'd have to. I'd have to tell you. Right? Yeah, you'd have to know. How long is the ball in the air? So it's asking for T, right? All you need to do is fill in everything except for T. Let's do that. What's this H over here? 3 equals negative 16 T squared plus 40 T plus 4 feet. You're going to solve for T. Solve for time. How are you going to do that? Use what? Quadratic formula. Probably the easiest way in this case. Use quadratic formula, but first you have to
Make 0.
make it equal to 0. Minus 3. Minus 3. 0. Negative 16t squared plus 40t plus 1. Use the quadratic formula to solve for t. Now, what type of answer do I want? What type?
Positive.
True? Positive?
Rational.
Real.
No, not really. Real.
Okay. Do I want?
I don't know.
Okay, I guess I didn't say. I guess I haven't talked about this. I always forget what I talk about in some classes. What type of answer is that last one you got? What was that? -7 plus or minus square root of 137 over whatever, 2, 4, whatever. What type of answer is this?
It's a discriminant. Oh, no, I'm sorry.
What type of answer is
It's
that?
a simplified, irrational number.
It is irrational.
Unreal number. Imaginary number.
This is what we call an exact answer.
Oh.
What other type of answer could you give me? You could give me exact, or you could give me. Huh?
Yeah.
Okay, approximate. Yep. You can give me exact or an approximate answer, which would be what kind of answer?
Decimal.
A decimal answer,
Rounded
right?
answer.
Yeah, a rounded answer. Decimal, rounded.
Estimate.
Okay, yeah, an estimate. So you would change this to decimal, and it would be, you know, whatever it is, 0.539. I don't know what it is. I'm just guessing here. Okay, this is an approximate answer. This is an exact answer. What type of answer would you want to give me for this question?
Exact.
Approximate.
If I said, how many seconds does it take? And you said, yeah, square root of 49 over 7 seconds.
See?
Make sense?
Right. Approximate.
Approximate answer in this case. Everything else, exact. This case, approximate. So go ahead and use your calculators to get an approximate answer for me. All right, here we go. Quadratic formula, negative b plus or minus square root b squared, which is 40 squared, minus 4 times a, which is negative 16, times c, which is 1. If you put this in, what is your discriminant in this case? 1664 all over 2a, negative 32. This, you don't need to simplify this only because we're approximating. Put this in your calculator. Negative 40 plus root 1664, all divided by negative 32. What is that answer?
2.5.
Anybody else?
2.5.
Okay.
It's the, what's the,
Or 2.5 to 2.5.
Now here's the deal. I want to correct any mistakes right here. People are going to do this in the calculator. Negative 40 plus root 1664. And then they're going to hit divide. Negative 32. What's wrong with this picture?
You're dividing this.
You're only dividing this by this. You're supposed to divide everything by this. So either you do this, put parentheses, and then hit enter, or what I do sometimes is this. I just do the top, hit enter, and then I hit divide by negative 32. Hit enter again, and I get the right answer. Your choice. You do what you want. Final answer should be 2.5, should be one of them. 2.5 something, around 2.5. What's the other one if you do it correctly? Negative 40 minus this, all divided by negative 32. Negative 0.02. There's your other one. You can't have negative time, so you cancel. Done. 2.5 seconds should be your final answer. If you didn't write that, write it now. 2.5 seconds. How many people got 2.5 seconds? Okay, not bad. There we go. Any questions on this type of problem?